In April of 2011, Christine's nephew brought his family from France for a visit. Meet the Delay family.
Oh, hello, hi. Je suis Grégory Delay, un neveu de la famille. Donc, je vais vous présenter Carole, ma femme, my wife, and mes enfants, my son, Flavien, and Louison. And we are very happy to be here.
First stop, San Francisco. So much to see and so little time, only one day. One must-see, of course, was Alcatraz, the famous maximum security prison that closed down many years ago. And how to get around? By cable car, of course. Gregory is a fireman in France, so naturally it only made sense for him to look in at one of the fire stations in San Francisco. Everyone who visits San Francisco visits Chinatown, and here we see the boy playing on a Chinese lion. They stayed at the Hilton, and Gregory rented a car to get around better. Another famous landmark, of course, is the Golden Gate Bridge, the entry to California. Another stop on the Delay tour was at their cousin Kurt's house in Sacramento. It's where the Hardaway family grew up and lived for 30 years. Kurt took it over when the folks moved to Humboldt County and made some dramatic changes. And here are our Sacramento family, Stephanie, Dante, and son Kurtis. Now Kurtis's hobby is fixing up this old vintage convertible. Keeps him busy. Now, a visit means a barbecue, and here are the fixins and the fixors. You can just see that Dante can hardly wait. Dante made a big hit with the Delays, especially the boys, his second cousins from France. Only one day to visit, and then they were off again. Gregory driving the rental car up the Redwood Highway to visit his aunt and uncle and cousin. After the long 6-hour drive, they arrived in McKinleyville to be greeted by their uncle-in-law, Richard. And here it is, the house the Hardaways built in McKinleyville. The weather was not too good, but we did have some sunshine while we were there. And here's Gregory talking to his aunt who he hadn't seen for years, and of course there's a tour of the garden, Christine's famous garden. And of course, our dog Daisy didn't want to be left out. But where was Babby? Next up, it was time to check in at the Holiday Inn Express. Like her brother Kurtis, Fredericka is a cousin to Gregory and Carol. And when dinner rolled around, we had poulet rôti, chicken, and it was very good. Everyone enjoyed it so much. And Gregory took a few moments out to call his father in France. Lots of scenery to see in Humboldt County, and we took off for Patrick's Point, which is a state park just north of us. Within this large park, there is a Yurok Indian fishing village where they still use it in the summertime, and also they teach the traditions of their Indian tribe. After a hearty lunch, we took off for another area in Patrick's Point where we can get a good shot of the ocean. Beautiful area. Our favorite spots is just 10 minutes from the house. It's in Trinidad, and it's the famous Indian Rock. Below the cliff, there's a fine beach, and the family had a wonderful time splashing about and taking pictures. Fredericka is a public guardian, and she was injured in an accident. Here she is talking with Gregory. Uh-oh, another fire station in McKinleyville right down the street. And the firemen were so kind, they gave everybody fancy t-shirts and gave us a tour of the station. Well, it's the last day, 4 days, and the boys are having a last playtime with the doggies before we take off for the airport. Arcata Airport is nearby, and as we loaded up, there was a bit of a scandal. It seems Gregory had tried to smuggle some wine. Oh, no, only a joke. Anyway, next up, Las Vegas. In Vegas, they saw such landmarks as the Bellagio and Caesar's Palace hotels, and a recreation of the New York skyline. They had a great time. The DeLay family left Nevada and drove northeast to explore more of the Old West. Cutting through a corner of Arizona, they took in Kanab, Utah's spectacular scenery. Then it was off to see awe-inspiring Glen Canyon Dam. And that was followed by a stop at Horseshoe Bend. Then it was a night on the town in Page, just over the border in Arizona. Flavien and Louison both participated in Ken's country show, while Dad Gregory took photos, all feasted on Western cuisine. Next day, it was off to Monument Valley. Carol posed with their Jeep rental against the dazzling panorama. No trip through the area would be complete without a visit to the splendid Grand Canyon of the Colorado. 18 miles wide and a mile deep, it's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. In Williams, they took in what's left of historic Route 66. It once took travelers from Chicago to LA, but for the most part it's been replaced by the interstate highway system. As time was running out for their visit, they drove through colorful Sedona on the way to a Pheonix hotel. It featured a large and welcoming swimming pool for their last night in America. It had been a spectacular trip, but now it was time to go home. They boarded their plane at Phoenix International and headed for Europe. They'd always remember their amazing visit to America, but life goes on and now they must return home to Straussburg, France. Note there is no major airport in Strasbourg, so they would fly to Mulhouse via London and make the short final trip north by ground transportation.